application. So
Okay.
I handle a lot of database side.
Okay, you're a database guy.
I've
Okay.
never worked, yeah,
Okay.
but never worked on ETL.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So the demo we are presenting you today is about Informatica. Informatica by its nature is an ETL tool. Okay. So let me show you my PPT. So this is the PPT which I'm going to cover today. So Informatica is an ETL tool. The three letters E, T, and L start for extract, transform, and load. Okay. Uh, 1 second. Let me pause. Let me open one more PPT. Sorry. So as I said, the three letters E, T, and L, extract, transform, and load. Basically, I'm trying to extract data from where? From different sources, right? For example, my extraction might be from a table, from a flat file, or from any other source of data. It might be an XML, PDF, anything, right? So I'm extracting from three different heterogeneous sources. The word heterogeneous means a lot here. For example, if there is a database, as you already know, and I have two tables, I can write a simple join statement in a database. There is no real need for me to really buy an ETL tool, purchase, and all invest so much in an ETL tool. The real need comes when I have different kinds of sources. For example, one is a table in Teradata, one is a table in Oracle. I really want to join them very quick. Then the real need comes for me in joining the two sources with the heterogeneous. Hey, hi Krishna, who is this? Hello? Somebody join? Okay, Karthik, you're able to hear me, right?
Yeah, I guess you with a little bit of distance.
Yeah.
Is it
Now it will be clearer.
Yeah, that is better, yeah.
Yeah, problem and generally if all others are mute, generally our voice will be more clearer. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
So next, when I say about transform, okay, when I say about transforming meaning my basic objective, the first letter E is extracting from different heterogeneous sources. The next letter T, transforming. When I say transform, I modify or I combine my tables or merge my tables or do any kind of thing and get an result and get a result outside it. Okay. For example, I want to sort the data, or I want to aggregate my data, group the data, or I want to do a normalization of my data set. These are all different transformations I apply. Or I just simply want to club one or two columns, merge one or two columns, combine them into a single column. So all these kind of transformations I will do in my ETL tool with very easy way rather than in a database. Next comes my loading. So I'm done with my extraction, the first part. Next comes my transformations and then my loading. Loading is nothing but loading it back into a flat file or a database or whatever source you want to load. So you extract the data, you transform the data, and then you load the data. So here if you see my slide, extracting from different kinds of sources. It might be RDBMS. RDBMS meaning any relational database management systems, any Oracle, Teradata, DB2, anything, or a mainframe, or any flat files. You aggregate the data, you cleanse it, you do all apply your all business rules, all the steps come under transformations, and then load it back into your data warehousing system, or any flat file, anything. So these three steps are called as ETL, and Informatica is one of the ETL tool in the current market which is providing you these three steps. Now, any questions till this section?
I am good.
Okay. Now, Informatica, about Informatica. Informatica, as I said, is an ETL tool in this space. Informatica has been in the market since 1993. It's a leader in enterprise solution products. Its headquarters, you can read about the history of Informatica as a tool. Now, this is Informatica's website. You can go there, log in there, read about Informatica. myinformatica.com, down@informatica.com, where you can access different developers forum, and you can sign in and write your own blogs or all this kind of stuff. Informatica also offers you 3 levels of certifications: one an administrator one a designer one, other a consultant one. Okay, these are the 3 certifications offered by Informatica as a corporation. And each, suppose for example, designer contains 3 papers. You have tried to the exam A, B, and D, and then you will be certified as Informatica designer. That is why Informatica as a corporation decision. Now, this Informatica as an ETL tool is a pioneer in the ETL space. It occupies nearly 50 to 60% of the ETL space. What are its competitors? Its major competitors are DataStage, Ab initio, some other free tools like Pentaho, okay, BODA. These are the other ETL tools which are in market. And when competing with Informatica, Informatica predominantly occupies most of the ETL share with any of these tools. The reason being, Informatica has a better licensing strategy, better GUI, it's easy to use, and it's very user friendly when used with any other database. It supports database a lot, the queries and all those things. Okay? Any questions in this section?
Oh, zero. You can carry on. Hello?
Yeah. Any questions?
No, you can carry on. You can carry on.
I'm just pausing in case of any question. That's it. Now,
No.
what is the architecture of this Power Center tool? Okay, so Power Center, Informatica Power Center has a server and a client, as any other tool has commonly. Now, in the server section, okay, you have a server and a client which interacts with TCP/IP mechanism. When it's a TCP/IP, the mechanism which they both will interact is a web-based mechanism. So if you see on my screen, this is what a web page. I opened a web page, and this is also my admin console where I can control all my things. For example, let me log in. Now, if you see this here, this is a one-stop shop where I can manage and control all my different servers of Informatica. This is my Informatica server. Okay, this is one server which I have in my training environment. In real time, you might have multiple servers. You might have to manage multiple things, multiple stuff. You might have to manage the memory properties. All those things you might have to manage in this page. So this page is just a web console where it is just you can open it in any web browser. Okay, you don't really need a software for it. Now, this is your Informatica server which contacts with Informatica client. So the way they both interact is through TCP/IP protocols and completely a web-based architecture. So this architecture of Informatica is called as a web-based or a service-oriented architecture. Why they call a service-oriented architecture is everything is a service which is running in the backend. Okay. For example, you want to run one workflow. What is the workflow? I'll tell you. You want to run one job. Say let's say generic definition. I'm running this job. I right click. I say start workflow. So when I say start workflow, when I say I'm running a job, it invokes some services in the backend, and those services will give you a desired result. So everything is basically a service-driven or a web-based driven architecture in this 8.6.1 or 9.1. The recent version is 9.1. The one which you are seeing on my screen is 8.6.1 today. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so if you see this repository server and repository clients, okay, all of them are placed. I'll go through each client now. Now, for example, what you do in all these clients, you see repository manager, designer, all these things. They're all the client interfaces of Informatica. This is the thing basically. So let me go through all those one by one. The first client is repository manager. In the repository manager section, you will generally create folders. You'll generally create users. This is all a kind of mini admin. What is mini admin? Within Informatica, what all things you can do it here. Okay. So creating folders, creating user privileges, creating user groups, all those things you can do it in this repository manager. What is a folder? A folder is nothing but a working area. For example, I'm a developer, you are a developer. We'll be given individual folders to develop. That is our working area. Okay. And inside our folders, we'll import our own sources, we'll import our own targets, we'll create our own mappings, we'll do all that stuff. But here, this tool is purely for deployment purposes. Deployment meaning moving the code from one environment to other environment, or for creating folders, for managing folders, for managing other admin stuff. So that is the purpose of this tool, which is called as repository manager. The second tool, the second client tool, this is called as Power Center Designer. In this place, I create my sources. How do I create it? As simple as this. For example, I say sources, import from database. I give the username and password. I say okay. It is already existing, so I just replaced it. Okay. So this is how simple I import a source. Similarly, I import a target, and then I create a small mapping, something of this kind. This is a mapping. So this is a source, E, this is a transmission, T, this is L. So the three boxes there represent E, T, L. I'm extracting from this source, doing some transmissions, and then loading it back. Okay. So a mapping is nothing but a combination of a source, transmission, and a target, where source represents the E of ETL, transmission is again transmission, target represents the load. So the ETL part I'm doing in a mapping. A mapping is a combination of a source plus transmission plus target. Okay. So what all terms we are learning? New terms basically. The new terms are, first is source, of course. Folder. What is a folder? A folder is a working area of mine. Okay. A folder is a working area for me. Next. And by the way, so this is just a demo. This is not an actual class. So we'll again go through these topics slowly and clearly when we go through the actual topics, because before coming to this topic, it might take some time. Okay. So source is nothing but, again, source contains your tables or your files, anything. Okay. Next are transmissions, which suppose, for example, sorting, aggregating, these are all transmissions. Next are again targets. Targets might be again files, tables, everything. Now, a mapping is nothing but a combination of a source plus transmission plus target or a table. So this is called as a mapping. Now, a session, the next new term. Okay. So till mapping, any questions?
No, No, I'm good.
Okay. Next. 1 second. Okay, next. Session. A session is nothing but when you create a mapping, you cannot give some things like connection string and all those things. Okay, so those kind of things you will generally create in a session. So you go here, you create something called a session. Session is a mirror image of a mapping. Simple. And once you create a session, you create something called as a workflow. So the step-by-step process of creating a source, creating a target, creating a session, creating a workflow is a complete cycle of informatics. Okay?
So
The final
session is something like creating an instance.
session is something like
of
creating a
particular time. Instance.
it's a mapping instance, yes. Okay? So generally inside the mapping you cannot give some things like what is your table, your username and password. So those kind of things you'll mention inside the session. The connection strings basically. That is one place. You define some of the memory properties. All those things you can define inside a session. Mapping is just the pure ETL logic. Okay? In session you have many properties like how many rows to load. It is an insert mode. Do you have to truncate the table first? All these kind of options you'll give inside a session. Okay? I mean, is it truncate and reload, or do you have to just append all these things? Next, you will create something called as a workflow. After the workflow is done, you will create something called as an session and then workflow. Once the workflow is done, you will just run the workflow. As I said, running the workflow is the end task or one second. So running the workflow is the end task of your product. Okay, so you run it here, something like this. Now you can also see how many records it has loaded. For example, it did not load any records, or you can see it here. It loaded some 3 records. So this is how you can see, and also you can see what is the log and all those things inside this tool called as workflow monitor. So the first tool is repository manager, used for deployments. Next comes the designer. Next comes the workflow manager. Next comes the workflow monitor. So these 4 tools which you can see on my screen, let them put apart. Okay, this RDWM are called as Power Center Client tools, and with this you have this admin console which is also a part of your client product. So if you see on my PPT now, back to my PPT, so these are the tools which I just spoke. Any questions on any of the tools?
No, I'm good.
I did not hear you, sir.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Now, so what is the general process you follow in Informatica? As I was saying you, or this architecture is, your server can be installed on a variety of platforms like Linux, Unix, anything. But your client is only a Windows-based tool. You cannot install on any other platform. So generally, most of the in real-time world, it's a combination of a Windows plus Unix platform. These both will combinedly give you a better performance, okay, in terms of Informatica. And as I was saying, you have to follow a definite process to go through it. For example, creating a source, creating a target, creating a mapping. This is a step-by-step process which you have to follow. Okay. Now, let us go and see some more options of creating sources and targets. As I was saying the word heterogeneous, I'll tell you some more options. You can create from a source, or you can import from a database, or you can import from a file, or you can import from a COBOL file or XML. Most of the types are supported here. Similarly, you can create one table. For example, you want to create your own table. You can create just a simple table like giving the database name, give the table name and create it. For example, I'm doing one. Okay, and go there and type in the columns whatever you want. This is when you don't have your corresponding table in database, you want to create your own, you can create it. Okay, but one point, the creation of table here does not mean that I'm creating a database also. Okay, this is just an Informatica instance of a DB, but I have to create it there also. Then only the both tables will be in sync. So I'm creating one more column.
So this table has been created at the client end.
Yes, this table created in the client and Informatica server, but not in the real database. Okay, so this is just like a dummy table where it has no actual actual link with the database. But for my purposes, for my development, I can go ahead with this one. Okay, and later create a table in the backend when I want to run the mapping. Till the point of time I want to run the mapping, it does not really bother me saying, hey, you don't have an actual table in the database. It does not bother me. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Only at the point of running it will check, hey, this table is not existing, and it will fail, but generally it will not bother till that section. Similarly, whatever you can do for sources, you can do for targets, like importing or creating. All these options is just a replica, the menu bar or the toolbar. Okay, you can do all of them for targets. Now, once you create these two, you go for mappings. As I said, mappings, you have n number of transformations. All the transformations are on the top. And this Informatica has a versioning system inbuilt. Okay, you generally don't go for a third-party system. You can compare between two different versions. You can go to previous version. All these things you can do it here only. Okay. Now, these are all the transformations on the top. Sorter, aggregator. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. Expression, filter, aggregator, lookup, right? Sequence generator, stored proc, all these transformations are on the top menu bar. Clear?
Yeah.
Now, for example, this is a joiner transformation. Anything you want to just drag into it, just pull and drag into your mapping section. So this section, what you're seeing is called as mapping designer, because you design a mapping here. The one section which you saw previously is the source analyzer, because you create all your sources here. The next section is called as target designer. I'll leave these two tabs. We'll come back to them, and this is called as mapping designer. So the next comes this workflow, task developer. Here you create a task, and here you create a workflow, and you run the workflow. So this is the general process which we follow for building an Informatica mapping. Now, this is as a part of a demo. Now, some more points which I would like to add. So generally we'll have an 1 hour session for each per day. Okay, probably 5-6 days or 7 days based on your convenience and my convenience. People take off on Sunday. If not, we can continue, and it will take about 40 classes for me to complete this whole Informatica training module, whatever which is shared based for, and per day counting 1 hour. And you will have a lot of practice to do. If you don't do enough practice, you won't be able to cope up, because this tool is everywhere drag and drop. When I do it, it's very easy. When you do it, it's very tough. So go back, practice a lot. That really helps you. Okay. And what else? Yeah, I'll give you the PPTs. We'll also give you the tool. We'll install the tool on your system. By the way, what's the system configuration? Windows 7, Windows 8, Mac.
Windows 8.
Windows
8.
8. Okay. Fine. So anything Windows 7, Windows 8, so we'll install it on your system. We'll provide you the software. So that is our duty, and practicing it to the maximum extent is your duty. So that is how you have to practice a lot so that you can get that most benefit out of it. Now, any open questions for me?
So literally it will take 1 hour for 30 days or 40 days?
40 days.
Okay. Okay. So this includes the lab exercise and other things also?
Lab exercise, I will see, for example, when I'm demonstrating a sorter transmission, right? I'll demonstrate it today and I'll give you a couple of more exercises on it. So you have to go and practice and come back to me if you have any questions on it.
Okay. Okay.
Because as long as I do, you will never learn this tool. Because when you start doing it, you will face a lot of challenges like, hey, where is this option? Where did he click it from? So all these things you'll know it only when you practice. So I'll do one, for example, sorting a data. I'll take one data set. I'll tell you how to sort this. I'll give you a couple of more scenarios to sort. So you have to go home, try those couple of more scenarios. If you get any question, definitely you can come back to me, ask in the next class.
Okay.
That is how it goes.
Okay. So where is there any group or this one where we can get in touch with? How do I ask my doubts and how is it going to be clear?
Is there any?
No, how am I going to ask my doubts and how is it going to be clear?
No. I mean, see, for example, you get a doubt today. So next class you can ask me.
Oh, okay. So is there any other means of mailing you or whatever?
You can mail me always. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, but anyways, we are meeting only one day gap, right? If we are meeting today, we'll meet tomorrow. It's a daily class. So you can write down the questions in a notepad or somewhere. You can ask me tomorrow whenever we meet.
True. Right.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. So this is about the tool and all. And is Farouk available by any chance? Is he still with us? I think he just
I
dropped
don't
off.
know.
Yeah, he's not on phone. He's just on this go-to meeting.
Oh. Okay then.
Yeah, I'll share my
Shall
PPT
we?
with you. Okay, I'll share my data access with you. Okay,
Sure. Yep.
and what else? Some of the stuff, some of the mappings, XMLs also I'll give you, but at the end of the classes. Okay.
Sure. Sure. Thank
Hmm.
you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Swarup, are you there?
Yeah, I'm also waiting for him probably. Let me call him or give me a second. I'll ask him to join back. Okay.
Okay.
Wait a second. Let me call Swaroop. If he has anything to say, or I'll end it, Karthik. Okay.
Sure. So shall I drop off?
Give me a second. Okay. Hello, Swaroop. Hi. Swaroop, we are done. Do you want to speak to Karthik or we can drop off? Okay. Probably you can ping us. We are not able to hear you, Swaroop, clearly. Okay. So Karthik, he'll get in touch with you later. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for attending this demo. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Jairam. It was too good.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.